Because of enlarged tumor and the presence of gliosis, what are the three structures which are being compressed? Both tumor and gliosis.
Okay po, Doc. Wait lang po, i-move lang po sa lateral view slide.
Itong pathophysiology mo may lateral view. Yan. Ito, yan.
I-
Palakihin mo.
mas better, ano daw, Lauren, yung isang slide na ating hinanda. Wait lang po, Doc, may isa pa po.
Much better yung isa. Lateral view ng ano. Yan. Sige nga, you have the pineal gland there and then you have the tumor. And then after that, it was subjected for surgical procedure that forms now the gliosis. So what are the three structures which are being compressed by
Doc,
either the tumor or the gliosis?
Doc, for the tumor po, I'm thinking that this, by the report lang itself, it compresses the quadrigeminal bodies po, so the superior and inferior colliculi. And then since po, this is the assumed, the red part po, is the assumed size of the tumor, it it may compress also it may also be parang more situated in the quadrigeminal cistern where there are also vasculature there that are supplying, such as the vermis or the pallium area, which is why we also see the slight pallicerebellar symptomatology. And for the ano naman po, for the gliosis, it it presses on the sylvius po itself. But there is also the oculomotor nuclei there and the periaqueductal gray around the aqueduct, which may have caused the later we found the nystagmus and what is this, clonic tonic spasms po.
Is the elevation of the intraventricular pressure or the one that causes traction or movement of the optic chiasma close to your internal carotid artery?
Sorry po, Doc, paulit po.
Is the elevation of the intracranial pressure the one that causes movement forward of the optic chiasma closer to your internal carotid artery?
Doc, kasi po, when the aqueduct sylvius is constricted, we're thinking of the increased pressure, particularly within the third ventricle more. And so it pushes on proximal structures, particularly po anteriorly, we have the optic chiasm po.
But the patient have hydrocephalus? Do the patient have hydrocephalus?
Doc, I think it can be possible na since we also have yung sa huli po sinabi namin na there's a parang 11-month gap between MRI examination, which could have led the possible hydrocephalus to be under the radar. But as well po, we were thinking more of yung narrowing of the aqueduct was not enough, na hindi siya like total blockage. There's still flowing down to the fourth ventricle. Hence, hindi siya nag full-blown hydrocephalus.
Okay. So hindi talaga nag-hydrocephalus because that was the findings on MRI. But there is only slight elevation of the intracranial pressure because of the enlarging mass and also the gliosis. Only slight elevation of the intracranial pressure. Kasi kung total blockage yung the aqueduct, there will be enlargement, okay, or there will be dilatation rather of the third ventricle, and that is the time that when you can say that the patient has hydrocephalus. But there is no hydrocephalus. Kung slight elevated lang yung intracranial pressure, it won't push Okay, it won't push the optic chiasma forward. Kailangan may hydrocephalus na yan. Nag-dilate na yung third ventricle bago mo i-push. Okay, bago mo i-push yung dito, optic chiasma forward. So ano kayo nag-push sa kanya? I disagree with the in elevation of the intracranial pressure. Kasi yun yung pathophysiology mo eh.
Doc, we were considering po yung increase yung pressure na po yun na like hindi siya full-blown po talaga na hydrocephalus. Like, slightly lang po siya talaga na parang more of parang slight na hydrocephalus almost. But then we were also considering po, besides the increased pressure po that pushes, is also the variation po, unique variation in each people na how optic chiasms can naturally be a little bit closer depending on your genetic makeup po. Like for example po, this patient is also described po nung una na the infundibulum is slightly behind the optic chiasm, which may indicate na this patient is prefix chiasm. And then ang nakita po namin sa online is more of yung possibility po na si optic chiasm is for prefix chiasm is a bit more close to the internal bilateral carotid arteries, and this is not to consider pa yung orientation pa po ni bilateral internal carotid arteries. So baka possible po na very close na po agad si optic chiasm with the bilateral carotid arteries, that even with very very slight pushing, lalapit siya, that even hindi po slightly compressing, the pulsation of the internal carotid arteries would then cause the damage po.
Anong nag-move nga forward?
Doc, the slight pressure po talaga. Yung pressure po, increased pressure.
Pressure, kahit hindi ganun kataas.
Yes po, Doc. Like, enough lang po na considering na yung genetic makeup ni person is a little bit more closer po si chiasm with the arteries. We're betting on that na even with the increased pressure that causes just a slight push po, it
So,
could
kailan nagkaroon ng binasal hemianopsia? Pre-op, post-op?
post-op po.
Pardon?
Post-op po.
Post-op, di ba?
Post-op po, Doc.
Nung may tumor, tumataas na rin ang intracranial pressure niyan because of the tumor. Because of the enlarging tumor, tumataas na yung intracranial pressure niyan. So what do you think? Kahit sabihin mo yung genetic makeup. So dapat nung may tumor pa lang, nagkakaroon na yan ng binasal hemianopsia. But it's not. It's happened post-op. So I disagree with your elevation of the intracranial pressure and the genetic makeup. Any idea from the group?
Doc, kasi po, ay sorry
Yes.
po.
Sa pathophysiology mo, kaya lang I disagree with the elevation of the intracranial pressure.
Wait lang, Doc. We're also trying to recall. Pero po kasi noong December 16, 2010, pre-surgery po, which is in January po yung surgery. An MRI po kasi was also performed and wala naman pong napansin na iba, walang na-note na there is blockage of the pathway. Particularly po sabi the ventricular system daw po was narrow and central line was without any overpressure.
Ayan,
So yun po yung wala po siyang increase in pressure nung pre-surgery pa lang po. So it might mean na hindi pa po affected si Silvius nung time po na yun.
I disagree.
Ano po, Doc?
I disagree with the cause of your compression secondary to increase intracranial pressure. Slight lang ang increase niyan eh. Kailangan may hydrocephalus na yan para i-push forward yung optic chiasma.
Doc, it could also be possible na, Doc, yung kinonsider namin na dihydrocephalus, Doc, is parang very lang, hindi siya ganun ka, like very small lang yung pag-increase in size. Then, nung nagkaroon na po ng clearance, naging okay na si Aqueduct. Si Aqueduct po. Nag-slowly bumalik na rin po si hydrocephalus into the normal size.
Aren't you considering the gliosis are the one that causes traction of the chiasma?
Yes po, Doc.
It's the gliosis and not the slight elevation of the intracranial pressure.
Doc, kung parang see it is the increase in the ventricular pressure as a result of the gliosis po. Yun po yung sa amin.
Oo nga. Pero not directly it's the gliosis that can result to elevation of the intracranial pressure dahil nga kinocompress niya yung yung kulikuli, di ba? Nasa harapan ni kulikuli si aqueduct. So, naipit din, lumiit din, nagnaro, pero not totally obstructed. Kasi, nung may tumor siya, ganyan din eh. Nakadikit din yung tumor doon sa kulikuli. That causes slight elevation of the intracranial pressure. So, dapat nung may tumor pa lang, nag-move forward na yung chiasma. Hindi post-op gliosis Mas malaki kasi yung tinanggal sa tumor. May sinamang surrounding tissue. Kaya nung naghilom, gliosis, mas malaki yung scar na mabubuo. So pag malaki yung scar na nabuo, that's the time na itutulak niya yung optic chiasma forward, closer to the internal carotid artery. You understand, Doc?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay? Not the intracranial pressure. Kasi dapat tumor pa lang meron na, wala Post-op nangyari.
Doc, gusto ko lang po sana, Doc, i-highlight ulit, Doc, yung Kasi, Doc, sa initial po na case, ang sabi po talaga kasi ventricular system daw po, including yung basically po, ang pag-understand po namin is like, even yung aqueduct po is like narrow daw po, without any overpressure.
When you say without any overpressure, it means hindi ganun kataas yung kanyang intracranial pressure. Yun yung without overpressure. Tumaas pero hindi overpressure. So which means walang hydrocephalus. Hindi rin dilated yung third ventricle eh. And that is not enough para i-push mo forward yung optic chiasma. Ganon din ng may tumor yan, hindi rin yan overpressure. Kasi maliit lang, hindi pa ganon kalaki yung tumor para magkaroon ng traction at i-move forward yung optic chiasma. Pero nagkaroon ng traction nung tinanggal yung tumor kasi may kasamang tissue na tinanggal surrounding the tumor. So yun yung gliosis. The gliosis itself, not the intracranial pressure. Nasa taas ang Nasa taas ang lateral ventricle mo, third ventricle mo, doc. Nasa ibaba yung optic chiasma. Okay?
Noted po, Doc.
Sige. Basta yung gliosis, not the intracranial pressure. Okay, so the history likewise, Ramos, Jessica.
Yes po.
The patient is manifesting, initially there will be loss of consciousness with muscle cramp, no biting, no wetting. What do you mean by the word no wetting?
Doc, sorry po. Naglag ko po on my end. Pwede po pakiulit yung question.
Oh. What do you mean by the word no wetting?
Hindi po pinapawisan si patient, Doc.
Hindi nag-ano? No
Parang
biting,
hindi po, Doc.
Naglalag ka.
Ano po, Doc, yung no wetting po, hindi po siya nakakaihi ng maayos. Bali, involuntary urination po.
Oo. Involuntary urination, we call it as incontinence, urinary incontinence. So, no biting, hindi niya nakagat yung tongue niya, hindi rin siya umihi. Di ba? Nung nangyari, nung nagkaroon siya ng loss of consciousness with cramps. Ano ba yun? Ano ba yung manifestation na yun? One single medical term. And this is also followed again that there is tonic-clonic, di ba? There is a tonic-clonic jerking accompanied by wandering eye. Ano bang symptoms yan? Manifested by the patient. Single medical term. There is tonic-clonic. Nanginginig, nagje-jerking.
Nagsi-seizure po yung patient, Doc.
Okay, so nagsi-seizure. Okay, that is the manifestation of seizure ng pasyente. Nung una, mild lang. Yun yung time na inadmit siya sa hospital nung November. Then post-off, nagkaroon na naman siya ng mas matindi yung post-off. Kasi nanginginig na whole body, okay, yung kanyang katawan. Typical manifestation of seizure na. Okay, with rolling upward of the eyeball is the eye wandering na sinasabi. Okay, so can I ask for what causes the seizure? Before the surgery, nung may tumor pa lang, seizure na yon, nung November, when the patient was admitted. Then, post-op, may history na naman siya ng seizure. So, what do you think will be the cause of this seizure? Not epilepsy, because epilepsy is already permanent brain damage. Wala naman permanent brain damage. Only the only rather the seizure attack, but not epilepsy. What causes the seizure?
Doc, sorry po, naglalag po kasi kayo. Pwede po paulit?
Anong cause ng seizure? Bakit may seizure pre-op and post-op?
Doc, yung sa increased intracranial pressure po.
Yes, okay, because of the increased intracranial pressure. Kaya kahit nag-slight elevation ang kanyang intracranial pressure, okay, the patient manifests now this seizure disorder. So, bakit tumaas ang kanyang intraocular pressure pre-op at post-op? Ramos, bakit tumaas ang kanyang intracranial pressure pre-op? Pre-op and post-op yan,
Doc, mabilis, naintindihan niyo po ba ako? Medyo mahina po kasi yung signal ng internet. Yung sa ano po, sa pre-op po, dahil po siya sa tumor ni
Okay.
patient.
Yes.
Tapos, yung post-op po is dahil po sa wait lang. Dahil po siya dun sa ano ni patient, sa scar, sa gliosis po.
Okay, dahil sa gliosis. Kasi both of which, di ba, lumalaki yun doon, nasa likuran. Nasa likuran siya, yung tumor and gliosis. Nasa likuran siya ng kulikuli. The kulikuli is your corpora quadrigemina. Ano ba nasa harapan ng kulikuli? The aqueduct, di ba? The cerebral aqueduct. So, both the tumor and the gliosis, okay, will causes compression to your culiculi that narrow the aqueduct of Sylvius, but not totally obstructed. As we have discussed with Mones, Kemart. Do you understand, Doc?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. Tapos, di ba, yung gliosis lumiliit na. Nung lumiit na yung gliosis niya, wala nang tumutulak dun sa kulikuli. Kaya hindi na tumaas yung kanyang intracranial pressure. Kaya simula noong 2012 hanggang 2019, wala nang history ng seizure. Kasi hindi na nag-elevate yung kanyang intracranial pressure. Naintindihan? Hello? Hello?
Yes po.
Yes po, Doc. No, gets po.
Okay po.
Okay. Naglalag ka. Okay, next one. Sabelio, Joy. There's a manifestation of ataxia. Can you define ataxia? Yes. Okay. So in the ataxia, there will be abnormal contraction, especially on the skeletal muscle. And these are uncoordinated, uncontrolled, involuntary, nako-contract siya. So if this will affect now the muscle at the lower extremity, and you are supposed to be walking at that time, what will happen to the patient? Habang naglalakad, nagkaroon ng involuntary, uncoordinated contraction ng skeletal muscle, what will happen to the patient? Habang naglalakad. Okay, so out of balance yon, pasyente. Okay? So ano ang cause? Bakit nag-loss of balance yung pasyente? I mean, what part of the brain which control now your balance? And this is affected by the enlarging tumor and also the gliosis. Okay, it's a cerebellum. Yes, kaya nga kasi yes, okay. Kaya nga yung kasunod ng ataxia yung paleocerebellar symptomatology. So which means the cerebellum is affected. 'Di ba? Ano ba yung tatlong structure na based on the history na kinompress ng either yung lumalaking tumor or yung malaking gliosis? Ano yung tatlong structure na iniipit niya, kinocompress niya? Ano may anatomy?
Yung
The cerebral aqueduct is indirectly. Kaya lumiit yon dahil doon sa corpora quadrigemina. Not directly, indirectly. Dahil yes, pinush ng tumor or gliosis yung quadrigemina. Ano pa? Yung inipit niya sa taas, anong inipit niya? Yung tinan mo yung anatomy ng anatomy cross-section ng brain containing now the enlarged tumor. Hindi, pinyan nga yung tumor mo eh. Ano pa isang structure na inipit niya, kinompress niya? Inferiorly, it's the cerebellum. Anteriorly, the corpora, quadrigemina. O ano pang inipit niya? Superiorly. Okay, yung caudal part ng third ventricle. Be specific ha. Caudal part, okay, ng third ventricle. Okay? Sino ito? Ramos, Jessica? Sino ito? Sabelio? Okay, ginigradean ko kasi kayo eh. Okay, Mark Padulina,
Yes po, Padulino po.
any relationship with our president?
Sa husband niya po, relative
Ayan,
po.
oo nga pala. Si Dr. Padulina pala isa na. Hindi
Yes po.
pinili niya sa asawa pala. Okay.
Opo.
Okay, Lester. Ano ba yung diniscuss mo? Diagnosis.
Opo, yung differential diagnosis po.
Differential diagnosis. Ano ang differential diagnosis mo? When you say differential diagnosis, you will try to rule out other possible diseases which may cause the binasal hemianopsia. Yun ang
Yes
ibig
po.
sabihin ng differential diagnosis. And then you
Apo.
rule out, sabi mo, di ba? So ano yung mga differential diagnosis mo? You have the trauma,
Apo.
internal carotid artery aneurysm, you have the chiasma lesion, tumor, and then you have the intraocular causes. So which of the four do you think will be your diagnosis? The rest are already differential diagnosis. Ni-rule out mo sila.
Paulit po.
Ano sa palagay mo yung dito sa differential diagnosis mo becomes your final diagnosis? Okay.
Yes po.
Yeah. Sige, go.
I think we did exclude po itong lahat, pero based sa discussion, direct surgical trauma may have an effect po.
Direct surgical trauma.
Po, because of yung surgery po led to gliosis.
Hindi direct, indirect.
Indirect. I mean, na-exclude po siya, pero if dito po sa apat, indirect surgical trauma po.
Secondary to what? Indirectly due to post-trauma. So, indirectly due to enlarging or enlarge. Ano nangyari, di ba? Nung tinanggal, ano nangyari doon sa tinanggalan na area?
Nagkaroon po siya ng gliosis po.
Yes, yung malaking gliosis that causes traction, movement, nung optic chiasma forward. Kaya naging closer siya doon sa internal carotid artery. So, yung 1, 2, 3 mo, yan yung differential diagnosis mo. So, rule out mo yan. Di ba?
Yes,
Ni-rule out mo na yan. Ayan, hindi yan yung kanyang final diagnosis. Ano pa ba yung diniscuss mo, Doc? Tingin ko nga, yun lang. Yun lang yata yung diniscuss mo, no? Kasi hati kayo.
Yes po, yung 3 and 4 po yung focus ko.
Okay. So, the other one will be, okay ka na. The other one is, sino ba yung sumunod?
Ako po, Doc.
Masumbal?
Reyes.
Or Mark Reyes? Mark Reyes?
Yes po.
Ano yung topic mo, Doc?
Ito pong gliosis po.
Gliosis. So, gliosis, as I have said, will be nung ni-remove yung tumor. Ano yung tumor?
Pinealoma po.
Pinealoma. Pinealoma is supposed to be tumor sa pineal gland. But under pinealoma, tatlong klase yan. We have the pineocytoma, you have the intermediate tumor, parenchymal tumor, and then we have the pineoblastoma. So, sa palagay mo, ano ang ating pinealoma? Is it the pineocytoma? the intermediate parenchymal tumor, or is it the pineoblastoma?
Ano po? Pineocytoma po.
Okay, so pineocytoma. What is pineocytoma? Benign or malignant?
Benign po.
Benign. Okay. So, what makes it benign? What makes now this tumor benign? The pineocytoma.
Hindi po progressive yung growth ng tumor, and
Okay, hindi siya mabilis lumaki. Slow growing siya. What else? Yung CT scan result. Sa CT scan.
ano po, well demarcated yung border po, hypoinvasive siya.
Okay, so you have the word hypoinvasive. What do you mean by hypoinvasive?
Hindi po siya nag-invade ng iba pong
Let's use the same word, invade.
Hindi po siya nag-i-spread sa ibang structures.
Okay, so hindi siya nag-i-spread sa surrounding structure. So it's supposed to be limited only on that area. So hindi niya ini-invade, hindi niya kinakain. O ganun na lang, sabihin natin. Hindi niya kinakain yung surrounding tissue. Bakit? Bakit hindi niya kinakain? But when you have the pineoblastoma, it's malignant, di ba? Kinakain niya, nag-i-spread siya sa surrounding tissue. Tapos pupunta na yan ng general blood circulation, di ba, yung cancer cell. But this is benign cell. The benign cell do not. The word is, hindi nag-i-spread. The word is metastasis. So they don't metastasize to the surrounding tissue. They don't go to the general blood circulation. What makes it, okay, limited on that area? Nakalagay dyan is hypoinvasive. Diba sa ano nakalagay? Hypoinvasive. So, ano ibig sabihin ng hypoinvasive? Sabi mo? Hindi kumakalat.
Kumakalat, opo.
So, hindi niya ini-invade yung surrounding tissue.
Yes po.
Why? Ano meron sa benign tumor na wala sa malignant tumor? That makes it hypoinvasive. Hello.
Doc, kasi po yung sa pag benign po yung tumor, may capsule po yung pinaka.
Okay, because of the presence of capsule, that limit now the spreading, di ba, ng benign cell. Okay, yun yung ano, yun yung characteristic ng benign. Okay?
Apo.
Okay, sige Doc. So this is Mark. Then, Pasumbal,
Yes, Doc.
topic mo?
Dun po ako sa, yan po,
What-
sa post-chiasmal area, yung may compression po.
Okay. So, compression to the temporal side ng ating optic chiasma dahil doon sa internal carotid artery, right?
Yes po.
Anong cause? Bakit nag-move forward si optic chiasma? Which causes compression to the temporal side?
Doc, as you mentioned before po, yung yung gliosis po.
Yan, sige, mabuti nakikinig ka. Okay, that is supposed to be now the gliosis. That's supposed to be now the gliosis. So the bilateral part ng internal carotid artery tumitibok-tibok, di ba? Sabi nga, doon sa pathophysiology. Okay, which causes compression to the temporal side. And what happened to the nerve? Nagdegenerate. Nagdegeneration because of demyelination na sinasabi. Ano yung demyelination?
Doc, yun po yung parang nawala po yung myelin sheath dun po sa axon, surrounding the axon.
Surrounding the?
Yung axon po.
Anong function ni myelin sheath?
Yung myelin sheath po, Doc, is for transmission of signals. And yun po.
Ulit, Doc.
Yung myelin sheath po, Doc, is parang parang for faster transmission of signals po.
Okay. So, this is important for the faster transmission of impulse. What else? Yung ba yung pag nawala yun hindi na magta-transmit ng impulse? Nawala lang yung balot siya. It acts parang outer covering ng axon. So, in the absence of myelin sheath, yes.
Doc, since yung myelin sheath po is for the transmission of signal po faster, kapag nawala po yung myelin sheath, possible pa rin po yung transmission ng signal. However, mabagal po.
Hindi, kasi by nasal na Kung merong mabagal, kahit papaano, makakakita pa yung pasyente. Wala na, complete na, di ba? Ang diagnosis nyo is complete by nasal hemianopsia. So which means, wala nang transmission ng impulse sa temporal fibers kasi nagkaroon ng demyelination. So what happened to the axon? Nung nawala yung myelin sheath, ano bang function ng myelin sheath dun sa axon?
Doc, yung myelin sheath po, it provides metabolic support po to the axon. Therefore po, nagkaroon po ng axonal death since wala na pong metabolic support.
Okay, so anong mangyayari sa axon mo kung walang metabolic support?
Mamamatay po.
Yan, mamamatay. Magkakaroon ng degenerative changes. So kung nagkaroon ng degenerative changes doon sa axon, namatay na yon, wala nang transmission ng impulse, right?
Yes po, Doc.
Ayan, okay, so permanent na yung blindness kasi wala nang transmission ng impulse. That causes by nasal hemianopsia. Now, the diagnosis is complete, right?
Yes po.
Your diagnosis is complete by nasal hemianopsia.
Yes
Okay.
po.
Can you describe complete and incomplete by nasal hemianopsia? Would you kindly differentiate the difference between the two? Paano nasabi na complete? Paano nasabi na incomplete?
Doc, if incomplete po, hindi buong part ng nasal half yung nawala. While pag complete po, both nasal visual fields po yung nawala na.
Okay. So, totally wala nang nakikita yung nasal side, sabi mo, left and right ng visual field niya, di ba?
Apa.
Okay, so meron ba siyang incomplete nung time na yun? By nasal hemianopsia? O ano na agad, complete na agad by nasal hemianopsia?
Doc, bale, nag-start po siya as binasal scotoma before siya mag-progress into complete binasal hemianopsia.
Then, meron pa yan, kulang. May description pa yan eh. Pinutol nyo eh. Meron siyang scotoma sa nasal side. Tapos, meron pa yung kasunod eh. Meron pang kasunod na mga words.
Doc, bale yung ano po, yung scotoma po is nasa further right ng nasal field.
Okay, so sabi doon, yung scotoma, nasal side, mas complete. Tama ba yun? More pronounced sa right side kaysa sa left side. Right, Doc?
Apo.
So, ibig sabihin, may incomplete siya. Diba? Kasi yung right niya na blind sa nasal side, wala na talaga. Hindi na nakakakita. Pero dito sa may left side, okay, ng nasal side, nakakakita pa. Meron pa portion na nakikita. So that is supposed to be incomplete. Then, naging progressive na. That result na to bilateral na. Okay, bilateral complete by nasal hemianopsia. You understand, Doc?
Yes po, Doc.
No, kasi tinignan ko yung yung timeline. Sabi ko parang may kulang doon sa timeline nyo. Importante yung tinanggal. Yung more pronounced on the right side. Importante yun. Okay?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. Sino yan? Pasumbal yan, ano?
Yes po, pasumbal.
Pasumbal yung tinanong ko, no? Jaila?
Opo, Doc, ako po yan.
Okay. Sino ako?
Ang next po ay si Mones, Mark.
Next is...
Mones po, Mark.
Sige, go. Mark Mones, natanong ko na. Next, sino yung magdi-discuss?
For other diagnostic tests po.
Okay, Pedro.
First, yes po. First, the electrooculography or EOG po. The purpose of this test is to rule out any underlying retinal pigment epithelial dysfunction that could be contributing to the patient's visual symptoms. While the patient's ERG was normal, the EOG measures the standing potential of the eye, which is a sensitive indicator of RPE health. This test would provide a more complete picture of retinal function, ensuring that the visual loss is not related to a primary retinal disease. Second po is tonometry and gonioscopy. The purpose of this test is to accurately measure intraocular pressure and assess the drainage angle of the eye. Third po is the high-resolution MRI. The purpose of this test naman po is to detect subtle structural abnormalities in the optic nerves, optic chiasm, and optic tracts that might have been missed by previous standard brain imaging. This focused MRI with special attention to the orbits and visual pathways may reveal mild compression, demyelination, or gliosis that could explain the persistent binasal hemianopsia. Although previous MRIs were normal, the reactive gliosis around the aqueduct in 2011 highlights the possibility of similar changes elsewhere in the visual pathway that may be difficult to detect with a general brain scan. A high-resolution scan with thin slices specifically targeted at the visual pathways is necessary. The fourth one is the magnetic resonance angiography or MRA. The purpose of this test is to non-invasively visualize the blood vessels in and around the brain, specifically the circle of Willis and its branches, to detect any vascular abnormalities that could be responsible for the binasal hemianopsia. Fifth is the Goldman perimetry or Humphrey visual field, or 120-point screening. The purpose of this test is to precisely map and document the extent and pattern of visual field loss, providing a baseline and allowing for future monitoring of progression or stability. We will conduct a Humphrey visual field test and a 120-point screening to provide a detailed quantitative map of the scotomas. While perimetry has been performed previously, a precise standardized test will yield objective data that can be used to monitor the condition over time. Sixth is the Visual Evoke Potential or VEP test. The purpose of this test is to assess the electrical function of the entire visual pathway from the retina to the visual cortex. This is crucial as the previously conducted electroretinograms only evaluated retinal function. The VEP test measures the brain's electrical response to visual stimuli. Any conduction delay or disruption in the signal transmission from the optic nerves through the optic chiasm and along the optic ducts would be indicative of damage to these pathways. Given the patient's history of a pineal tumor compressing surrounding structures, this test can help determine if the binasal hemianopsia is a result of permanent damage to the optic chiasm from past compression, even though the tumor is now removed. And last but not the least, the neuro-ophthalmologic evaluation. The purpose of this test is to provide a comprehensive assessment of the patient's visual function beyond standard acuity and field tests. This specialized evaluation can assess color vision, contrast sensitivity, and pupillary responses. These tests can reveal subtle signs of optic nerve dysfunction or damage to the afferent visual pathway that might not be apparent from visual field testing alone, helping to pinpoint the exact location and nature of the lesion. This will provide a more complete clinical picture of the patient's neuro-ophthalmological status.
Okay, Pedron. Pedron.
Yes po.
Okay, you have tonometry and then you have the gonioscopy. Ano purpose mo?
Yung sa tonometry po is to measure the IOP po. And
Okay. May glaucoma ba pasyente? May glaucoma ba ang pasyente?
wala po.
Wala. Okay, so that's why the patient was not given anti-glaucoma agent, right? Pag sinabi mo ba, Doc, na mataas ang intraocular pressure, parating may glaucoma, sabi mo hindi. So what are the three types of glaucoma? What are the three types of glaucoma?
Open angle, tsaka po angle closure, tsaka po normal pressure.
Okay. So normal tension. So ibig sabihin, normal yung pressure. O kaya low yung kanyang pressure, pero may glaucoma. Unlike for the open angle and the angle closure, yan talaga tumataas yung intracranial pressure nila. So hindi intraocular rather. So hindi basis yung intraocular pressure para masabihin mo na pasyente may glaucoma. So sa tatlong yan, ano ang meron para masabi ko na may glaucoma ang pasyente? Distinguishing features that the patient have glaucoma in these three types of glaucoma.
Again po, Doc, yung kind po ulit ng glaucoma.
Ano yung distinct features ng glaucoma na makikita mo lahat sa open angle, angle closure, and normal tension glaucoma? So, hindi yung tumaas ang intraocular pressure tapos sasabihin mo agad glaucoma because you have normal tension glaucoma.
Yung hallmark po ng glaucoma is optic neuropathy.
Okay, so anong makikita sa fundoscopy? Anong makikita doon during fundoscopy?
Yung CD ratio po. Ano po
What?
siya?
Okay.
Normal po yung size.
Anong CD ratio natin?
Sa case po, 0.4.
Okay, so does it suggestive that the patient have glaucoma? Yung 0.4?
No po.
What's the normal?
Ang normal po is yung ano. Ay, ano pala? 0.5 po pababa.
0.3. The normal is 0.3 hanggang 0.5. Pero may libro kasi 0.4 lang eh. Yung normal value. Okay, Doc?
Yes po, Doc.
So, walang glaucoma. Di ba yung pasyente? So, nag-request ka lang nito, baka tumaas yung kanyang intraocular pressure kasi merong history. The other one is, wala siyang glaucoma kasi ano ba ang visual field ng pasyente? By nasal, ang blindness. Kung may glaucoma, ano ba ang visual field kapag may glaucoma ang pasyente?
Peripheral po.
Periphery, tunnel, di ba, Doc?
Yes.
Tunnel ang vision yan ng pasyente. So, wala siyang glaucoma, wala siyang optic nerve atrophy. Kasi wala siyang tunnel vision. Ang vision niya is bitemporal hemianopsia. Tama, Doc?
Opo.
Kaya rule out mo na yung glaucoma. Then you have the BEP. Anong function ng BEP? To differentiate with ERG.
Yung VEP po, yun po yung parang ano, nag-a-assess po siya ng electrical function sa visual pathway po from retinal to visual cortex. Tapos, yung sa, ano po, since yung sa ERG po, parang inano niya lang po yung ano, in-evaluate niya lang po yung sa retinal function.
Okay. Anong result natin sa ERG? Normal o hindi? ERG.
Normal po.
Normal. So, suggestive, walang problema sa retina.
Yes po.
And then, you request for BEP. May findings ba sa BEP? Pag ni-request mo yan,
Pwede pong kapag ni-request po sa VAP, pwede pong ma-determine po yung sa binasal, if yung binasal hemianopsia po is a result ng permanent damage sa optic chiasm from past compressions po, even though the tumor po is tanggal na.
Yes, okay? Makikita talaga. Kasi ang damage sa visual pathway mo eh. And the damage on the visual pathway will be your optic chiasma temporal side. So magkakaroon yan ng abnormal findings. Pero sa ERG natin wala. Kasi wala namang damage. Di ba doon sa retina? Okay, Doc?
Yes po.
Can I request for OCT? Kayla, can I request for OCT?
No po.
Bakit?
Kasi po, yung ERG po, sabi po doon, okay naman na daw po.
Ano bang makikita ko sa OCT? Para hindi ko na-request yan. Mahal yan eh.
Yung po, yung cross-section po ng retina and optic nerve.
Okay. Wala naman damage ang retina eh. Bakit ako magre-request ng OCT, di ba? Normal na ERG mo eh. Fundoscopic finding is normal eh. So why would I request for the OCT? Okay? Nakuha yung Doc? Point?
Yes po, Doc.
Sige, okay. Thank you. Next.
Here are some medical managements as well as some possible medications that could have been taken by the patient before and after the surgical removal of the pineal gland tumor. First are anticonvulsants. Anticonvulsants such as phenytoin and topiramide could have been used due to them being an effective treatment for clonic tonic seizures. Secondly are steroids. Steroids could be used in order to reduce inflammation brought on by the natural healing response of the body post-surgery. Steroids such as dexamethasone and prednisolone could reduce swelling as well as slow down the growth of gliosis. Lastly are anti-glaucoma medications. Anti-glaucoma medications could be used in order to reduce the patient's intraocular pressure, particularly anti-glaucoma medications under the classification of prostaglandin analogs. Prostaglandin analogs could have been used due to them increasing the outflow of fluids. Some anti-glaucoma medications that could have been used are latanoprost, lavanoprost, and tafloprost. Next page. As for some medical managements that could have been used after the loss in the patient's visual field, neurologic care and monitoring. The patient should continue follow-ups with neurologists to watch for any signs of tumor or any development of new neurological deficits. Secondly, psychological care and monitoring. Since the patient's vision is affected, psychological side effects or stress such as depression or anxiety could occur. Counseling or support groups can provide the patient with valuable emotional support and coping strategies. Lastly is lifestyle and rehabilitation support. Healthy lifestyle such as good exercise, good sleep, and a balanced diet contribute to patients' overall well-being. Visual rehabilitation programs could assist the patient in adapting to daily living despite having visual field limitations.
Moving forward, let us now discuss the optometric management for our patient. The first one is we have low vision rehabilitation. Since yung patient natin is by nasal hemianopsia results in the permanent loss of the nasal visual fields, rehabilitation aims to maximize the use of the remaining temporal fields. This involves training the patient in compensatory strategies such as scanning techniques, orientation, and mobility training and visual skills enhancement. The goal is to help the patient adapt their altered visual reality and to improve their daily functioning despite the irreversible defect. The second one is intraocular pressure monitoring. Given that the patient's visual fields are already compromised, any additional damage could critically impair their functional vision. Regular IOP monitoring allows for early detection of pressure elevation, which, if left unmanaged, it could exacerbate the vision loss through glaucomatous damage. Thus, consistent monitoring is an important preventive measure. The third one is we have provided optical aids based in presence, for instance, can be prescribed to shift the images from the blind nasal fields into the functioning temporal fields. This effectively expands the visual field available to the patient, improving their spatial awareness and safety. While optical aids may not restore their lost vision, they can significantly enhance the patient's ability to navigate their environment. The fourth one is functional vision assessment. Beyond standard measures such as visual acuity and perimetry, it is important to evaluate how the patient utilizes their vision in everyday life. This includes assessing their reading performance, mobility, contrast sensitivity, and their eye-hand coordination. And finally, patient and family counseling. This is important in fostering acceptance and promoting their psychosocial well-being of the patient. Counseling provides the patient with a clear understanding of their condition, why it developed, its impact, the limitations na nag-i-impose doon, and it involves the family para po ma-ensure na they can provide both emotional and practical support while also addressing their safety considerations at home and in the workplace po. And these are the references we use po for the presentation do. Thank you po.
Okay, can I go back to Repaso, Aaron?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay, so your topic is on the medical management. Will you
Yes.
give anti-glaucoma to the patient?
Hindi na po, Doc. Since kanina po nasabi na po na na-rule out po yung glaucoma dahil sa CD ratio ng patient na 0.4.
Okay, so the patient have no glaucoma actually. Talagang wala. Slight on the elevation of the intraocular pressure dahil stress siguro off. Kaya nung chinek medyo mataas ng konti. Pero not necessarily that the patient have glaucoma. So parang yung kanina rin, there is slight elevation of the intracranial pressure but the patient have no hydrocephalus. So dito, there is slight elevation of the intraocular pressure but the patient have no glaucoma. Diba? Na-support naman yan eh. Na wala silang hydrocephalus, wala silang glaucoma. Okay, yung pasyente. You understand, Doc?
Yes po, Doc.
So, anti-convulsant, yes, I agree. Kasi baka mamaya there will be recurrence of seizure, di ba, doon sa pasyente. Ano lang to ha? Standby lang to, Doc ha? Hindi yan bibigay. Pag inatake lang, as needed lang, doon lang ibibigay yung anti-convulsant, okay, na medication. Steroid post-op yan, binibigay, okay, doon sa pasyente. So, sino ang mas marami ang management? Medical or optometric management?
Optometric po.
Oo, kasi wala na magagawa dyan sa pasyente. Bulag na siya eh. Diba? So, assurance mo na lang. Diba? Tanggapin niya. Acceptance na lang. Diba na wala nang magagawa doon sa bulag na portion. So, dapat si medical, si MD, i-refer yan sa opto. Para si opto ang magre-rehabilitate. Diba? Doon sa pasyente. Okay? Since si Jessica, meron ng discussion kanina. Ikaw ulit yung tatanungin ko, Aaron.
Sige po, Doc.
Pertaining now to the optometric management, one of the optometric management is correction ng prescription ng pasyente, right? And then sabi ni Ramos, yung optometric. Wala ka nga nilagay na dito, i-correct yung kanyang error of refraction. May grado yan eh. Dapat kasama yan dun sa optometric management nyo. And then, nabanggit niya parang prism. Tama ba, Ramos? Jessica?
Yes po, Doc.
Anong prism kaya ang pwede kong ilagay, Aaron? Base in, base out?
Base out po, Doc.
Base out. Kung base out, saan pupunta yung mata?
Nasal po.
Ano bulag ng pasyente?
Nasal po. Mali po, Doc. Base in po pala. Kailangan po makita
Base
yung...
in. Lalong di makakakita yung pasyente sa ginagawa mo eh. Kung i-base out mo yon, di ba?
Apo, Doc.
Kasi kailangan natin maximize yung nakikita pang vision ng pasyente. Pertaining now to the low vision rehabilitation, pwede ba ako magbigay ng magnifier?
I think po, Doc, hindi.
Ha?
Hindi po pwede magbigay ng magnifier, Doc.
Okay.
Since hindi naman po kailangan ng magnification for visual field.
Pang saan ba ang magnifier? Pang malayo, pang malapit?
Pang malapit po.
Oh.
Doc, sorry po. Okay. Since yung nasal part po ng visual field natin is more on mas malapit po. Need po pala.
Need talaga yung magnifier. Okay? So, tapos kailangan din ng cane. Tama, no?
Yes po.
Okay, tapos kailangan mag-adapt sa environment, mobility, kailangan yung mobility. Tuturuan mo sila kung paano gumalaw ang katawan, ang ulo, ang mata para makita nila yung hindi nila nakikita sa nasal side. Okay, so importante yung head mobility, importante rin yung eye mobility, di ba, dun sa pasyente. Okay, prism. Ayun na, nakalagay base in prism. Tapos, acceptance na lang, psychological. Okay, kailangan ng counseling. Okay, ang kailangan lang is acceptance para maging independent, di ba, together with the family, para maging independent yung pasyente. Yun na ituturo mo sa kanila. Huwag silang nagre-rely, di ba, sa mga tao surrounding niya. Pwede pa naman siyang gumalaw ng normal. Kasi meron pa siyang natitirang vision, di ba, dun sa pasyente. Do you understand?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay? Okay, so I think that's the last topic. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you po, Doc.
Okay, thank you.